And welcome back to Survivor 50 Seasons in 50 Days. I just finished watching Survivor Cook Islands in a relatively fun season. I feel like my mind kind of changed on it this time around than last time. And so we're going to get all into everything that has to deal with this very advantage-heavy season. First off, we have Julia making her return from Survivor Africa. And we have Erica, who last time she was here was when we did the Korong review 2 years ago, right?
Millennials versus Gen X.
Millennials versus Gen X. Spoilers, she's doing the Korong review this year. So we'll start with you. What made you want to talk about Cook Islands?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
I love this season. It was one of the first ones that I watched, like when I first got into Survivor. And I haven't rewatched it in a while. So many icons started here, so it was time for a rewatch.
Julia?
Very similar. Haven't rewatched it fully in a bit. Jonathan Penner is hot. Write that down. And definitely
Hot cat, just in general, but
he's hot. Just write that down, and just thought it would be fun to revisit it.
Well, and I think the reason that I've always kind of flip-flop on the season is because once you remove the fact that we've had so many returnees from the season, is it actually any good? If you remove the I-24 storyline, is it actually any good? And I would say that this time, very similar to Palau and another season, I can't remember, this is my favorite time watching Cook Islands since the first time I watched Cook Islands, where I felt myself getting pretty emotional as I2 kept winning during the pre-merge. This is also the moment in Survivor history where I start to despise Candace, and it just continues for her next two returns, and we're going to talk about Candace a little later. This is also the second season in a row we're going to start with 4 tribes, and what's different about these 4 tribes as compared to last season is we separate them based off of race. This is, outside of Fiji and a few new era seasons, the most diverse cast we're ever going to get. And we did it by just putting them all on with people that they look like. Erica, did you know about this twist going in? And
No.
Did you find yourself being, I don't know, were you rooting for anybody on Raro Tribe? And did you feel bad that you were rooting for people on Raro Tribe?
No, I didn't know going in. I remember the day that it happened because I watched season 12 and I just let it autoplay into season 13, and I was so shocked. Yeah, and no, really no. Honestly, just nobody really stands out on Raro Tribe in the first couple of episodes. So. My standout favorite from the beginning was Yule, that's one of the things that made this season so fun for me watching it for the first time, was because my standout favorite did so well. And that was just like a new experience for me. And it's still kind of like a rare experience, I'll say. So I think, nobody really particularly stood out that early. And I was shocked by how they divided the tribes.
Julia, was it kosher?
All press is good press, right? You kind of come off of a little bit of Survivor's not what it used to be. You're not pulling in the numbers you're doing on that Australian Outback premiere. And it's a great way to get people talking about Survivor again. Yeah. Was it the most kosher? No. Has worse happened on Survivor? Absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess want to touch on this one. The Railroad Tribe are all villains in the edit except for Flicka. Yeah, in the edit, but Flicka is the worst of them all for obvious reasons.
I never trust a white girl with dreads.
With dreads.
Can't
and especially one that refers to either Stephanie or Rebecca as
the sister at the end.
The sister at the end. We probably won't be touching on Flicka much here, so I'm glad I just get that out of the way now. This is that first season where we have 4 tribes of 5 as compared to last season with 4 tribes of 4. And they do keep those tribes intact for an extra round unlike in Panama. For me, the pre-swap, everyone's just going to look at the Billy Garcia of it all, and I think that is the only real highlight of these first 2 episodes is we don't like Billy because of reasons, and we're going to very obviously throw the challenge to the point where he knows that the challenge has been thrown, and then vote him out. In the all-time fun moments for y'all, where does the Billy Garcia Candace showmance kind of rank?
Very high. It's just one of those, it's like you can't make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up. The "we love you" and just the smile, that creep, like you cannot write that. And you could just tell by Jeff's reaction that is just pure, unbridled, just like shock. It's incredible. Can't be replicated.
Erica?
I agree. It made a huge impression on me at the time. I was pretty new to Survivor. And when I was watching it, I remember I posted the screenshots of that moment on my Instagram story because I had to share it with the world because I had never seen anything like it. Like Jeff said, nothing surprised me more than what he said just right then. And even people who didn't watch Survivor responded to it like, what the fuck is this? What is happening here? Great. It is great television. Magic moment.
Well, obviously the funniest part for me is Candace from Railroad Tribe. Yes, Jeff, the only Candace that's there. But it's such a big meme in this community that like you can just say Candace from Railroad Tribe and everyone understands what you are referencing. Now, the reason that we even get to this point is because Ozzy 1.0, and this is kind of our Ozzy section. Ozzy 1.0 kind of starts off as a dick. And it really isn't until the I-24 storyline takes off that I don't know, for me, I'm not actively rooting for Ozzy just because he does come off as basically how Penner describes him at Final Tribal. Just pre-merge Ozzy, have you guys has it always been the same, or has your opinion of him changed throughout the years at this first portion of the game?
I feel like for me in this 1.0, there's truly no point where I'm actively rooting for Ozzy. Even when I find myself excited that he's winning, it's more excited that he's helping further like Yule storyline and the other people I'm enjoying. I like the I-24 and the group, but I'm never like, thank God, Ozzy, man. Like, I hope you win this shit. Because he's a little bit of an asshole.
Erica?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, the others in the I-24 are more fun to root for than Ozzy, but he brings a lot to the Alliance with locking down so many immunities. Well, I guess that's a little later on, so never mind. But it was very adorable on the rewatch, especially having just watched season 50. I enjoyed the adorableness that young Ozzy brings. He's very cute in the coconut tree. He's very like, his swimming is like wild. It's like supernatural to watch what he does in the challenges sometimes. He makes me nostalgic for those older days of Survivor where people cared about fishing and like making the fire and things like that.
And they were catching like 20 to 30. Like I think Penner said they had like 22 at one point. It's like, oh, so these people aren't starving anymore. I mean, they're probably still starving, but not to the extent of the first however many seasons.
No, they had crabs and like octopuses. They caught like 5 octopuses. Like they were eating good on that season. So Ozzy brings like, that certain flavor, but he's not the most rootable character. And wanting to throw the challenge to get Billy out was quite villainous.
Dumb.
Well, I guess if you look at it as like if you try to 4D chess it of like, okay, we need reasons to root for Yule, not root for Ozzy. Maybe that is one of those moments they kind of just threw in there to say, hey, but like also he's doing this. And then I don't know. I know a lot of people are big fans of him, and I would say that of his 5 seasons now, this kind of is up there for me because of the back half of the season, everything he does with the I-24, which kind of brings us to the amount of returnees that we have that come from the season. Because, like I said at the beginning of this, I believe that the reason that everyone puts the season so high on a pedestal is because of the legacies of everyone that comes out of it. You know, Penner 2 and 3.0, well, specifically 3.0, but even the way he goes out in 2.0, memorable. Parvati, every single time she has played since here, memorable. You know, Yule, everyone was clamoring for Yule to come back. When Yule finally comes back, memorable, despite the fact that he goes home pre-merge. Ozzy, same thing. We get him 150. Candace, man, we'll talk about Candace later. I'm going to keep saying that. We'll talk about Candace. Do you guys think that the season is overrated because of that, or do you think that that should come into play when you talk about how good a season is?
No, it stands on its own. It's so good. It's so good. It was like I was so new to this when I watched Survivor, and it was one of the ones that kept me going. I was dazzled, and I had no idea what was to come with all of these future players. Well, future returning players. Like, I think it stands on its own. I think it's great. I don't think it's overrated because of the legacies that start here. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, because at that point you're looking at it through the lens of what we know now. Like, what we know now is Ozzy's returned. He's been on 4 times. Parv has won twice. Candace has been back 3 times. Like, we're looking at it at that lens. But if you're watching it with just, you know nothing, you're starting at 1, you're watching through every season, I think it still stands on its own without that benefit of looking back.
No, I do agree this time that you can watch Cook Islands and have no knowledge that any of these people come back and enjoy it. And I'll kind of talk about where the season kind of loses a little bit, but it's still not much. Cook Islands is a good season. Quickly, I said I wasn't going to mention her again, but this is the 2nd season in a row that we've had a white woman with dreads. Just want to put that out there. This season is also, and this is just going to kill the lead that I'm going to say at the end of this of what I think the modern day Survivor fan would hate. This season is plagued with advantages. I think almost every single pre-merge round and a fair few merge rounds, even if it's just a slight sending someone to Exile Island, it still counts as a advantage and or twist. This season is plagued with twists to the point where the trailer of every episode is usually like, and then a shocking moment that, and they'll show their faces. When I talk about how the modern day fandom is kind of dumb, I kind of look at seasons like this where it's like, oh, you clearly have not been watching this entire time if you think that all these advantages is a new thing. It's a new concept, because one of y'all's favorite seasons is Cook Islands, and they're just screwing with them left and right, because when we get to the glass bottle twist, there is a very large chance that we could be down to 2 I2 members, in which case, yes, the production has screwed with the game. Erica, why do you think that people don't look at this season as, oh, it's pride putting their hands, involving themselves too much with the game, when it kind of is?
Man, that's hard because I love the twists this season. Like, I want to defend them here. I mean, Exile is great, and it's kind of the same thing every time. There's just one idol, just one. I mean, the clues, they get more clues as they go, but it's just one idol and one bank of clues. There's nothing like, no, a million bajillion journeys that happen on Exile. So some of the twists are predictable for the players, easy for them to play around and strategize ahead of time, I don't know. I just think the twists were fun. This was bad. The twists were different back then. I can't. They were fresh. They were new. They were creative. They brought a certain X factor, a certain je ne sais quoi. I don't know. Julia, what do you agree? Back me up.
I think the twists aren't with the exception of the God Idol, which I will talk about separately, most of the twists here aren't too overpowered, game-changing. I mean, we can talk about the bottle, which I still think was production interference, but you get a lot of the who you're picking to send to exile. Sometimes the person you're picking might be safe for tribal, little things like that. But I think the reason fans who watch don't complain is at the end of the day, the twists and this season benefit the people who we're meant to root for. Time and time again, they benefit the I24. And when those are heroes of the seasons, we celebrate the twists rather than tearing them down. And that's a big reason why I think there isn't like as much public outcry over the God Idol iterations over the years, because we had Terry who had one, and Terry, this massive fan favorite, Yule, again, beloved. You get Tony, massive fan favorite, and the last time they try to do it in Karong, it crashes and burns for the villains. So every time that has been done, it's been to like the happiness of the audience. So I think that plays into things.
And that kind of takes us to not the God Idol yet. Oh, I guess it's the God Idol over time, but this is just the second iteration of the first Idol. What I want to kind of get into is, and I talked about this yesterday, of the twist of Exile Island. For me, especially this time watching, once the idol is found, I don't care about anything going on Exile. Like, and they commit, I don't say they commit a lot of time to it, but they make sure that we get at least one segment with someone there after the idol's found. It's like, okay, it's just Candace crying again because these people hate her. It's Adam laying there basically giving up. You know, it's fun watching Penner and Yule look for it, but so I guess with the Exile Island twist, is it a twist that you feel holds up over time? That, you know, are you excited to watch an Exile Island season knowing that most of the time the idols get found early, you know, when the idols are hidden there, and then later seasons it's just a reason to watch someone being isolated? Is the Exile Island twist appealing to you?
I loved it. I actually love all the little clips of Candace fucking crying on Exile. I love it. I think it's great TV. I love seeing her eat the sea slugs. I love seeing Adam eat whatever the fuck he ate out there, crabs and whatever. I don't know. There was just something different about Survivor back then. Like you could easily choose to just not eat that night and you would be okay. But back then they were like, oh, well, I guess I'm eating sea slugs tonight because I'm on Exile, and that's just what you do here. And I loved the aesthetic with the shipwreck, and like I loved, like, you know, the structure that made the clue. I just loved it. And I love the simplicity of it, that there wasn't, you know, a cycling of idols and all of the newfangled rigmarole. I liked it. And I think it played in really well narratively because it was Candace so many times. It was just fun it makes good TV in my opinion.
I think Exile is fun, especially heading into this open era. Ooh, whoop-de-doo. And we're bringing back everything that's ever been done. We have an hour and a half episodes. I'd rather ixnay these stupid journeys we do every week where we're spending 30 minutes of the hour and a half episode watching Sari find the coconut we know she's damn well gonna find, and spend 5 minutes on an Exile segment, and I'll be happy. I think it holds up well. The people yearn for camp life. I yearn for camp life. I yearn for these moments of people. I think it's fantastic.
Julie, you brought up the fact that the Super Idol has never been played correctly, or basically played, period. It's never been played. And this is the last season that we're going to get the Super Idol before it's reborn as the Tyler Perry Idol in a couple weeks from now. How do you feel about the Super Idol as a concept? Are you glad they are going to change it the very next season, or would you like to see maybe another return of it sometime down the line just to see what happens?
I'm not the biggest fan of the Super Idol. I I like the idols as they are now because you still have to have strategy behind it. You know, like you still have to at the end of the day make the decision, should I play it, should I not? And there's a decision making process in that. I think it makes for much less interesting television for what I enjoy in the strategic conversations, in the intrigue of a vote. If I go, okay, well, if they vote him, it's gonna happen. It's gonna get played. If it doesn't, it doesn't. There's no intrigue behind that, and that's why I'm not a big fan.
Yule finds it, and I know that people kind of whenever they do downplay Yule's win or whatever, they kind of, oh well, he had the super idol, so like of course he's going to win. It's like, well, Terry had it and he didn't win.
If Terry won that, they would have said Terry is fucking incredible. He used that
like,
super idol, and he's God. He's God.
Erica, for you, is Yule the right person with the idol? Like, do you feel like there's anybody else in this season? Let's kind of remove anyone from the I2-4. Is there anyone from Raro Tribe that you feel like if they had the super idol that they could have done the exact same thing that Yule did? Or does it kind of like for this, does it kind of have to be Yule and or maybe Ozzy?
That's an interesting question. I've never thought about what would happen if Penner was the one who had found the idol. That completely changes the entire rest of the season. I mean, so much of the narrative is that Yule had that it was Yule. I don't even. It's like a bizarre thought experiment to try to think about what if someone from Raro Tribe, what if fucking Candace found it? It completely changes everything. Yule having it really does like. That it really drives the whole narrative. I don't even remember what your question was. What was your question?
Does it still work? Does the person still win, or even make it as far as?
I think it's possible to still botch it. I definitely think like Cowboy had a great plan. I mean, we'll get there when we get there, but I think it's I think it is. I think while the super mega god idol is totally busted and overpowered, it's possible to botch it. It's absolutely possible to botch it and get played and, at least get it flushed and then be vulnerable the next round. It does. It's a little overpowered the way it still buys you one whole extra round after you've been fucking voted out. That just is weird and awkward and a little bit, but it's possible to botch. Like, yeah, it could be played around. Someone else, yeah. You'll played it perfectly.
I think the big thing, though, that people say, it's not that Yule had and he couldn't be voted out. It's that was the tool that brought Penner over. Without that, Penner wouldn't have flipped. Putting my tinfoil hat on, I think Penner flips there regardless. Obviously, we only see what the edit shows, but we are shown from the minute Penner gets back from that first exile trip. He's annoyed with these people. They're lazy. They're childish. He likes them better. He regrets the decision to mutiny almost immediately. I think Yule having the idol gave him an easy out. I think it gave him something to point and blame at to try to lessen the blowback onto him. But I don't think ultimately he saw longevity with those people because they made it very clear he wasn't in their long-term plan. So I think with or without it, Yule still is able to do what he does.
And we'll kind of talk about Penner a little later, specifically around the mutiny. This is the third time I'm going to reference this person because it's in my notes, and I really want to say this. When Flicka says the sister at the end, I outwardly said, fuck you. So we get to the swap of the season, and it's overly convoluted because it has to be, because this season is full of just convoluted twists. They can't help themselves. So the swap, I'm not even going to try to go over how they get to the point where we get to, but we do end up with 2 tribes of 9, and we're going to kind of deal with them until we get to the infamous mutiny. And enter Cowboy, who his OG Asian tribe are not really vibing with. At the swap, he's kind of looked at as the annoying one, along with Flicka and apparently Ozzy when they go over to Raro tribe, and they're just kind of like, "Oh, this is the three people we don't want to see."
Yeah, they're the three people we don't like.
Cowboy, I know that he is looked at as like one of these underappreciated characters in the history of the show, and yeah, he is. My dislike of Coach is, I feel like, in direct comparison to my like of Cowboy, because Cowboy is the first. I talked about this yesterday, as far as like, this is the era of cartoon characters on the show, and Cowboy is another example of a cartoon character come to life on the show, and also breaks the idol before it's cool to break the idol. One, Erica, do you think that his dream was real? And two, do you think that you would vibe with him out there?
Nothing has ever surprised me more than what you said just now, because it never occurred to me to even question that the dream could possibly be fake. What do you mean? Of course it was real. Well, he made it up?
The American Express
No.
shaman lady came to his dreams.
Yes, it was a real. I have to believe it was real. I've never questioned that. Would I vibe with him on the island? I would try to. I would try.
I just do have a question though about the dream. So when they vote out Cowboy, do you think the American Express shaman lady transfers from Cowboy to Ozzy, and that is why Ozzy now cannot stop dreaming on Survivor?
Yeah.
Because we see it in South Pacific. We see it in South Pacific, and we see it in 50. I don't know. I'm just saying, I think it's a question we need to be asking.
Cowboy was the sacrifice that Ozzy needed.
I think Cowboy cursed Ozzy with the American Express shaman lady.
And it's funny because even though we don't get the split vote strategy used this season, we're going to get it very soon. And this is the second time that this version of the idol has been presented to us as an audience. And the fact that people are already, it's very similar to Richard Hatch in season 1. He broke the game when the game was just starting there. There are these moments where players kind of 5D chess. We see it even in a I think in the immunity challenge this season, where the one tribe is just using the one pole for a lot of the time. We see these moments, and I think that Cowboy, I won't say underrated, because I think everyone kind of knows who Cowboy is, but underappreciated in the grand scheme of everything, because this is the first time, and I think the only reason it's underappreciated is because it doesn't actually happen. Him and Flicka vote that way, and that's kind of it. And we're done with Cowboy at that point. And I'm shocked that they didn't bring him back a little later, because I do feel like he probably resonated with a lot of people. I know he resonated with me, and he has resonated every single time I've watched the season, unlike Coach. And I think because I feel like he's real. I feel like he is 100%. This is the real person that we are seeing. I always felt like Coach was just playing a character, or maybe turning himself up to 11 or even 12. With Cowboy, I just felt like, okay, yeah, this guy is legit, and he's just going to say and do what he wants because he's from Vietnam. Do you think, because obviously he's wrong in who has the idol, but Plan Voodoo, first of all, amazing name. If let's say they vote the way that Cowboy wants them to do it, and the idol doesn't come out because obviously Yule has it, do you think Cowboy kind of figures out that Yule has it, or does he think that maybe it's just not found yet?
I think he figures it out. Cowboy's a lot of things. I don't think Cowboy's stupid. I think he draws that conclusion, and I think that's why it scared Yule so much, because in the grand scheme of things, like, if he went along with the plan, he was never going to do it. It obviously, he wasn't going to get voted out. Someone else was. But the reason he was so scared is it goes, okay, they don't have it. They don't have it. Who has it? Me. And that's why he was so threatened.
I forgot to point out during the CC vote that we get the first version of Crybaby Ozzy.
Yeah, he has his first depressive episode. I had that in my notes too. Yes.
Yeah. We get Crybaby Ozzy for the first time, and it just continues literally every time that he plays in the game.
Does he threaten to stop fishing? Is this the first time he threatens to stop catching fish for people?
Yes.
Yeah, they're like, hey, do you want to go out and do this tomorrow? I was like, I guess. Like, yeah, if they really want me to keep on catching their food, like, I guess I'll see. And this, once again, we're still in Dick Ozzy pre I24. So like, all of these moments are just kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. I know I'm going to be rooting for you in a couple of episodes, so let me just kind of get through this. In my notes, I just say so many twists, and we're not going to go through all of them because most of them don't matter by the time that we get to the mutiny. And I think the mutiny happens after, I think it happens directly after the recap episodes, either right before or right after. And this is something that they sort of tried to do in Thailand and it didn't work. No one jumped. Sheehan thought about it, but didn't. This time we get Candace and then Penner at the last second jumping back over to Railroad Tribe. And this is where my Candace in-game hatred takes off. Candace seems like a very lovely person in the real world, but especially here in Heroes vs. Villains, it's like I cannot stand this person. I loved her jury question this time around, though. In the spot that we're at in the game, it's presented to you. Are you jumping ship? And I'm not going to talk too much about Penner here because I do understand why Penner would jump there. Do you guys understand why Candace did it? And do you agree? Would you have done it?
She needed Adam's dick that bad. That bad. It's objectively a terrible move. There is no reason you can give me to think it is a good move. You're immediately fucking over whoever you leave over there. They hate you. That is a relationship you are never going to be able to repair. And for no reason, because you know for a fact the people on the other side are looking out for you. They have made it clear. They have sent you to exile to make sure you don't attend certain tribal councils. Why do you need to go over there? You save those relationships for the merge. You keep the relationships you have there with the merge. And if she had done that, she finds herself in the most powerful position in the game. Instead, she needed to back up on it in the shelter every night. And I guess that was more important than $1 million.
Well, she's going to get 2 more chances to do it, so it's fine. Erica?
Okay, this is the biggest question of the season. It's the one I had going into the season. It's the one I wondered the whole time. I tried to track, like, where does Candace stand with these people the entire time? It is the major question. Was it in any way, shape, or form a good idea at all? I really try to understand where she's coming from here. And I will say, you know, she caught votes a couple rounds previous, right? She caught, like...
Yes.
She and Penner have both caught votes at that point.
Yes,
so maybe she does feel... And there's a lot of distrust brewing around Penner. Like, people are talking shit about Penner at this point. So maybe there is some reason to feel like, you know, if they went to tribal, she would be the one to pay the price there. So maybe she would feel more safe on the other side. Maybe, you know, there's no way of her predicting that they would go on this insane winning streak. But ultimately, we know how it goes down. It's not good for Candace's game. It really just bonds the I24 together in a way that we had never seen before, and I don't think since. Like, I don't think we see that level of bonding.
Yeah,
that
immediately after they jump ship, there is a reward challenge that I2 wins and sends
Yep.
Candace off to exile for the second time at this point. So Candace goes to exile. They get to do their family letters and all of that, and they basically just solidify, we are not screwing this up. We are going to the end together because these two just screwed us over big time in the game. And yes, we might end up losing here and there, but like, let's not. Let's just put everything we have into it. And the episode, I'm going to come right back to this, but the episode, I think of the merge, where they're like going over all of their injuries. It's like, yeah, because you guys have been killing yourselves for however many rounds in a row to make sure that none of you go home. And I think this is where the season really takes off, when we're down to 4, when that basically the halfway point of the season is when the season takes off for me. Of okay, yes, we have our good guys, we've got our bad guys. Both of them, it's a mixed group on both ends, so like we're not picking sides here. And you just want, every time that I2 wins, you're like, this is amazing that they're doing this. I need them to keep going. Julia, at any point, the first time you watched it, and maybe over the years, you think, yeah, okay, maybe they could lose here, or what happens if they lose here? What is your relationship with, I guess, with the I2-4 pre-merge?
Yeah, I love a good underdog story. Always. I like rooting for the people who have to claw and scratch. And I remember the first time watching, I ultimately know Yule wins when I watch it for the first time, but I have no idea if he is going to lose anyone here. He's going to somehow weaponize the god idol to the end. Like, I have no idea. So every time I'm going to sit down and watch one of these challenges, I'm sitting there with bated breath. And thank God they had Ozzy in his swimming ability, because if you swap Ozzy for anyone else, they're cooked.
Erica, does the I2 try, if let's say no one jumps ship, let's say Candace and Penner stay, do you think I2 continues to win challenges at the rate that they do with just 4, or do you think it does kind of go back and forth?
I don't know. It's impossible to say. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think they win. The challenges
you think
were
they still go on that winning? You think they still go on the winning streak?
The challenges at that point were so heavily swimming based. You look at those 2 immunity challenges, it was a big part of it, or even the rewards. Like, those were huge parts of it, was swimming. And you have all of the bad swimmers still on the other tribe. So I still think they make the run that they do.
Rebecca was not helping the stereotype.
No, unfortunately.
Helping the stereotype.
I'm so sorry.
So what you're basically saying, and to quote Nate here, karma's a bizzle. I had to get that out.
Karma is a bizzle.
Karma is a bizzle. So we get the first of the next 3 times that Candace is going to go to exile. She's crying that she's here again. It's like, okay, sucks to suck. You don't really feel bad for her, specifically in this moment. Like, this is probably the one moment of the last 3 times that she goes where you feel the least amount of compassion for her, because like, you just jump ship. Why would they not send you? And then they go on this winning streak, and the entire time, I remember the first time I watched this, I hated Penner so much because I put him in the same category as Candace. Like, I don't give a shit what this man has to complain about with Rero. It's your own fault for leaving. This time around, it's like, no, I get it in all aspects, and I also get why you hate that you did jump ship, because these people are being portrayed, at least, as lazy and young, and you probably should have stayed with the normal folks over on I2. And then right under that, it's Adam's not cool. Adam sucks. And through 13 seasons of the show, I would say he has the most punchable face.
Very, very. Silas is like really close with me, but like, they're both, he's bad.
even when he smiles, it just feels like there's
Smart, like gross. I feel gross.
It just want someone to hit him.
I have it in my notes somewhere here. Adam is so unpleasant.
Well, he wants to basically kill Penner.
Oh yeah, it's this episode. It is this episode. Adam is so unpleasant. I've been thinking that this whole season. I'm just writing it down now.
Yeah, and it doesn't get any better. And he does outstay his welcome because he makes it all the way to the final 5. And every single time he's on screen, his little smirks with Candace and his little smirks, like when he's angry, it's just like I think I actually hate you. And for some reason he added a whole bunch of people on Facebook a few years ago. And he added a whole bunch of people on Facebook a few years ago. And I was one of them. And then I deleted him around November of a couple years ago.
I wonder why.
And I think that's when I realized that I was actually like, this was the real human being. But yeah, he was just a shitbag from jump. And if anything, I'm glad Candace didn't end up with him, because Candace doesn't seem like the type of person that would end up with him. Like she does seem
she's
like
a baby here. Like she's a baby.
Yeah, she says she's one of the youngest people here.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad Candace didn't end up with this Daybron, because
the jabroni.
Yeah. I say the I24 Ozzy is the best version of Ozzy that we are ever going to get. Would you guys agree with that?
No.
Just the I24 version of Ozzy. Okay, so what for you? No. What is the best version of Ozzy?
I still think he's a jabroni on the I24.
Okay, so what's the best version of Ozzy?
I liked Ozzy in 50 up to a point. I would say like Ozzy up to like the Christian vote out, and then like from after Christian went to when he went home, he was insufferable. So like mid-merge to when he went home was just like, or early merge to when he went home, I wanted to like choke him out.
Okay, Adam. Erica?
This is my favorite Ozzy. But I do like Ozzy season 50 as well. The Ozzies in the middle are a little corny. But the Aussies on the bookend Aussies, I feel, are very authentic. Yeah. Those where he hits, that's the sweet spot for Ozzy.
They're 1 and 2 for me. They're definitely 1 and 2.
The Oscar seasons.
Yeah, the Oscar seasons.
Candace, Candace here, she's 23. Like, if I went out there, I'd be acting a fucking fool too. I get it. Like, I get it.
I don't. I have to say, I don't know if I've said it on record this podcast. I like Candace. This is where me and Andrew have a big disagreement, because I actually really like Candace. I think she's great TV. I think they were justified for bringing her back. She's hilarious. She is willing to do outrageous shit on camera. She's willing to kiss people. She kisses Flicka on this season, the peanut butter kiss. She kisses Adam a bunch of times. She eats a sea slug. She comes back and argues with her husband on camera. She does whatever. She doesn't care.
She just shouldn't have been a hero.
No, she shouldn't have been a hero. That was a mistake. But she's fun. I think Candace is great TV. I like Candace. I don't care what the haters say.
And I think it's because, and especially how I watch it. So like in a week from now, I'm going to be on Heroes vs. Villains. And every single time I watch Heroes vs. Villains, like, oh, Candace doing Candace things when she flips during the merge. It's like, yeah, of course she flipped, because that's what Candace does. And not in like a Penner way, in like an annoying way where you go with Russell Hands. And I think that's ultimately, like, you go back to Railroad Tribe here, and that's, I guess, less problematic than going back to flipping with Russell Hands, but I'll talk about that in a week. Nate's final words about Jonathan when they I won't say blindside, but I guess it was sort of a blindside when they get rid of Nate at the merge. He has some choice words for Jonathan, and this is something that a lot of people in the game, they're going to accuse, because we're still in the era, and it's ironic because this era doesn't go away until at least Samoa. Yet modern day fans claim that honesty and integrity is like, it's like, no, honesty and integrity was a thing for a long time on the show. People cared about that a lot, to
Yes.
the point where people hate Penner's guts for just flipping on a vote. Even all the way to like Cagayan, people hate Cass for just flipping on votes because it's not honest. It's not, you don't have enough integrity to like stick with what you know. We're going to talk a little bit more about honesty and integrity when we get to the to Final Tribal. But after Nate goes home, we go back to camp and they're all going off on Penner. And Penner's like, Yul has the idol. And these people just refuse to believe that he does. Like, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. And when Penner said, I saw it, Adam's face,
They're like, okay, Grandpa, like let's get you back to your room.
is it so impossible to believe that Yul has the idol here? Erica, you nodding your head.
No, I thought you were going to ask, is it so hard to believe that these people are so foolish? And I was like, yeah, because I was watching it like, this is maybe one of Parvati's worst calls ever of all time. The way she refuses to
Yes.
believe that Yul has the idol. I was like, I forgot that this had happened. And it's so bizarre watching Parvati of all people make such a bad judgment call like this. Like, who else would have? They really think it hasn't been found yet? Like, who else the fuck would have it?
It
Like,
takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds to go, okay, Candace, do you have the idol? No, okay. I don't have the idol. And do you have the idol, Nate? Okay, you guys don't have it. Jonathan's saying he doesn't. There's one other person who's been to Exile Island. Like, it takes 2 seconds to do that. But white power and all of that, they cannot be beaten. They cannot be broken. They're always right.
Which leads to my favorite moment in Cook Islands by a very large margin. We get to the auction, and everything is going. Parvati gets a bath.
Great auction.
Penner's being obnoxious, and Becky and Yul basically combine their powers to get an advantage that'll change the game. Which I don't think it's the best phrasing, because all it does is send Candace to exile and Becky gets her money. I don't think that really changes the game. But the moment where Becky sits there and contemplates and just says Candace, and Yul just kind of goes, ugh. And Jesselia, for the 4th time, Candace going to exile. And just everything that goes on in this scene just lives in my head rent-free since whatever year this came out. Because it's the culmination of the I hate Candace storyline. Even though she gets voted out later in the episode, this is the part where it's like, yes, this is amazing. I need her to stay so she can keep going to exile. Julia, you say this is this is an amazing auction.
I think it's a good auction.
What else happens that makes it stand out for you?
Just like Jonathan being an asshole is just like, he's not even an asshole with it. He's just like getting all the things that the Candace moment, like you said, is just like, it's perfect. It's peak cinema. I just think altogether in the pantheon of auctions, I think it's a good one.
It's behind Token Jeans, probably.
what was wrong with the ice cream machine?
Yeah, the ice cream machine, incredible. Like, we got a couple moments from this auction.
What was wrong with it?
It was squirting in a weird way. I mean, it was good promotional content for Aussie, I guess, the way it was.
It all goes down the same. It all goes down the same.
Yeah, I guess at that point, this is also the episode where Yul starts getting called the ringleader of the I-24, which I feel like from a audience perspective, yes. And it seems like from a jury perspective, yes. Ozzy or Yul, I'm not the ringleader. This is a group effort, and Becky even says it during Final Tribal, and Yul has said it afterwards. Like, it was a lot of him and Becky, making decisions together. And when I realized this time, we do only get really 2 moments of like Yul Becky time where it does actually seem like it is the 2 of them doing it. And yes, we don't see everything at Final Tribal, but I did feel like Becky wasn't pushing that as much as she could, because I do believe them when they say it was the two of them as a duo, and we won't talk about them maybe discrediting a woman there, but like but it does feel, I do feel like if she had spoken up a little bit more at Final Tribal on screen, that maybe an audience would kind of see like, okay, yeah, she is getting hosed here, because it does seem like the duo is an actual duo. Julie, you're gonna say
again, though, those final tribals are how long, and we see a condensed 20-minute version of it.
yes.
We're going to see whatever the producers want us to see. Yeah, they're going to show, for this season, they're going to show why Ozzy's getting some votes. They're going to show why Yule's getting some votes. They don't need to show anything Becky does well at all. It's not important to the narrative structure. But I do also think there's nothing Becky could have said to get the respect. This is 2006. This is still like early Survivor. We see it with a lot of women before. We'll see it with women after. It's what happens.
You have to be Jenna sitting next to Crazy Matt.
You have to be Jenna sitting next to Crazy Matt. Yeah.
Erica, yeah, I just, did you, I guess whenever you do watch Cook Islands, do you feel like it's Yule and 3 people, or do you feel like, or do you kind of pay attention to his little moments with everyone's like, okay, yeah, I can see how everyone's kind of chiming in?
Are you asking if it's like,
just from your perspective,
if the I-24 seems very hierarchical with Yule at the top, or is it more balanced?
How do you perceive the alliance? Do you perceive it as Yule and 3 people, or do you perceive it as more of a, we are all doing this together?
That's tough. I do think it seems well, I will say, okay, honestly, it seems like it's not an even 4, and Sundra is clearly, I think, on the bottom here. Ozzy pulls his weight with winning so many immunities and keeping it out of the hands of the white people. And then Becky does pitch in strategically. He runs shit by Becky a couple times that we see on camera before he makes the move. So I think it's not exactly, I don't think it's an exactly equal balance, but it's not exactly like you will just running a 4-person alliance either. Yeah. So I hate stupid gray area answers like that. It's fun to have a strong opinion.
It's all good. Just quickly, that's bollocks is another iconic line in the history of Cook Islands. And go ahead, Julia.
What?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something. Okay. We get
and also because before the mutiny, they were at some point, I have in my notes, they were considering voting Sundra out, like before the I-24 really. So she did seem like further on the outs, and like she was kind of just there for the number, and she she pulled her weight in the challenges and whatnot. But yeah, anyway,
it seemed like she had kind of only usurped Ozzy once it got closer to the end, and they were worried about him potentially going on an immunity run and having that guaranteed spot in the final 2, to where I think she really took that 3rd spot in the pecking order. But for a majority of the alliance, she definitely was that 4th spot.
Sundra randomly showed up in an episode of Lost, and Lost is my favorite show outside of
Wait,
Survivor.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
We'll talk later.
Okay.
But yeah, she randomly shows up in an episode of Lost a little later. But we'll get there. So the end of the episode ends with Candace being voted out.
I have something to say.
And Candace, to her credit, to Erica's credit, Candace makes out with fucking Adam on screen, and it's a long one, and Nate's playing to the camera as he does on the jury. One of the only sassy Jeff moments in these early seasons where I'm like, yeah, he's right. If it was love, maybe he would have given you the necklace. But even if it is love, are you giving if you're playing with a loved one and you're at final 7 or 8, where we're at right here, are you giving your necklace away? Fuck no. Okay.
I'm going. But I do have something to say about this. And you talked earlier about is it the legacy of the players that makes this such a great season? And that's debatable. I think something that really, really elevates this season is I think this is an all-timer Jeff season. I think this is Jeff doing some of his best work. There's so many lines he has in this season that I'm chuckling at. You have the whole cannonball challenge where he's doing the back and forth with Jonathan. You have Candace from Railroad Tribe. You have this segment. I think this is an all-timer Jeff season, and I think that really elevates it for me as well when you're watching everything else. When you watch so much Survivor, so much of it can blend together. But when I have these moments that I can remember, it makes them stand out.
Yeah, this is, and I'm 2 days away from China where it would get full on Dick Jeff mode during the reunion, which thankfully I don't have to watch that. Yeah, this is still in a moment where it's like, yes, I am enjoying because it feels genuine. Everything that Jeff does this season, everything that he says, is like, yeah, he's not playing for the camera.
He seems like he's having a good time, and you can feel it.
We get the family visit, and the reason I wore this shirt, I only wear this shirt on finale and premiere nights, but I'm wearing the Penner and Stacy shirt from Winners at War. We get the family visit, and like I mentioned at the beginning of this, even the family visit has a twist because the season has so many damn twists, so that when the winner wins in this situation, it's Parvati. She doesn't pick who gets to go elsewhere. Her dad gets to pick who goes elsewhere based off of kind of whatever, and he picks Sandra and Adam to come along with them, and I can't remember who goes to exile, but Penner goes to exile. This is the moment where Parvati as the character kind of comes out of the Rero alliance, like where Parvati establishes herself as not just one of these crazy, basically everyone in the Rero alliance that's not Adam finally establishes themselves as not one of these crazy Caucasians. It's Adam, and then we have Candace, who, like her or dislike her, Candace stands out, Parvati stands out, Penner stands out. So we get here, and then we also get the very next episode where she's finally clocked as a threat with the reward challenge with Yul and Ozzy and the hot tub. Erica, thoughts on Parvati 1.0?
Parvati was a delight this season. It was so fun to rewatch her. I mean, she was a little immature at times. She makes a couple bad calls, like we talked about earlier. And I think there's at least one more coming, if I recall. I don't know. I'll have to check my notes. What do I think of Parvati 1.0? She was great. I mean, I think the thing about Cook Islands is the edit really, really plays up the flirty Parvati card, but she was playing the game. We see moments of strategy, and I imagine there's a lot left on the cutting room floor of her strategizing that we didn't see. So when they bring her back from Micronesia, I think the producers knew what the fuck they were doing way more than the audience ever could have predicted in terms of strategic prowess. Because you see little signs of it here and there, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember that's what stood out to me about rewatching Parvati 1.0 this time is, the flirt card is like the big narrative, but the strategy card is in there too here and there.
Julia, she ends up going home before Adam, even though we're still in an era where people care a lot about challenge performance, and Parvati hasn't really shown much. Like, she does well in them, but she doesn't win. And she ends up getting voted out before Adam here. Because, and Yul says it when he goes to vote, like, I underestimated you. You're very dangerous. And so to go off of what Erica just said on the cutting room floor, we find hot tub, whether it's, it's flirty, but it's also strategic. Thoughts on Parvati 1.0, and also, I think this is one of those moments where I wish we would have seen how dangerous she actually is. If Yule, the winner, is saying you are dangerous, show us.
I have come to respect Parvati 1.0 a lot, especially with rewatching it again. Just like Candice, she's 23 here. She is young, and I think to still have the strategic acumen that she shows. Yes, she has her blunders. Yes, she makes some bad calls, but to be that threatening to get taken out in sixth place when she does there, I think that speaks to her game. Obviously, they still think it's a final two. So the fact that when I say they, I mean like the Yule, Sundra, and Becky contingent at this point didn't choose to take out a quote-unquote challenge beast there, I think speaks volumes. Because they had been talking constantly about Ozzy's so scary, Ozzy's going to be taking a spot at the final two, but they chose to take out Parv instead, and I think this is a lot.
Yeah. Everyone kind of knows that I'm kind of just bleh when it comes to Parvati in the grand scheme of the show. Like I respect she's on my Mount Rushmore, like all of that. I'm not one of these haters.
I'm not a groupie though.
Yeah, but I'm not a groupie. You know,
I'm not wearing a t-shirt.
I respect Parvati for what she's done for the show and what she's done on the show. But I would say that watching Cook Islands, it's always like, yeah, this is before the hype, where I can just kind of pay attention to this player. And yes, I feel like these last two episodes that she's in really stands out as far as, yeah, I get it. I get why they would bring her back, even though they aren't showing us enough. Because we are, and this is something I noticed this time, because we're in the recruitment era of the show, it's very fun watching little moments where it's very clear that people don't know what's going on, like what is happening inside the game. I think during the swap, that first swap when we go from 4 to 2, and Jeff goes, "Drop your buffs," and I don't know if it was Cowboy or somebody else. They're like, what? And they're like drop your buff, like your buff. Like they don't know certain things because this isn't a show they watch. They've been brought on to the show because they have a larger than life personality or whatever. We're gonna get it again.
Or they're hot.
Or they're hot, and this is a very hot cast, pretty much from top to bottom. Whatever you like, you probably will enjoy this season if you just want to look at people. And I touched upon this at the beginning of this. We are still in the honesty and integrity era of the season, or of the series, that really never goes away, but it does kind of become here and there as the seasons progress, because Yule saying it, Ozzy saying it, the Raro people are saying it. They don't like Jonathan because he's not honest. He's a flipper. He doesn't deserve to still be in the game because everybody on the jury told the truth and he didn't tell the truth. I know this is going to be a loaded question, but once again, post-COVID, the post-COVID fandom seemed to believe that old school Survivor wasn't all of this honesty, integrity, whatever, when in reality, that's really all it was, especially when you get to Final Tribal. What are y'all's thoughts on it? Like, is honesty, integrity just a part of the game that we can either choose to accept or not? Or do you think that it really has just gotten to the point where if you even say those words, I can't respect you, period?
I'm trying to think how I want to phrase this. I think honor and integrity is alive and well and has always been alive and well. Sometimes it is just rebranded to fit how the jury wants to vote. I think I look at someone like Ben Driebergen. And did he lie and do certain things and play idols trying to blindside people? Yes. But he was like playing for himself, and there's honor in that. So the jury rewards it. Mike Holloway again, did all the lying and the letters, but he won all these immunities and he played for himself. There's honor in that. It's alive, but it really is rebranded, I think, a lot of the time of what makes the jury feel good. I think we turned away from that a lot, at least a bit in more of the 30s. I think as we've gotten closer to after the 40s and the new era, we've really pivoted back to what makes the jury feel good. And that's why I really think we've seen honor and integrity, just like those two words, have the resurgence it has.
Yeah, if you count, especially if you count the 30s as the big moves era, then yeah, honesty and integrity wouldn't count in there because no one cares about it then. And then we come out of COVID where basically went through one collective traumatic experience together, and people want to kind of go back to rooting for people that didn't screw them over as much as other folks. And I thought, yeah.
As much as people want to go like, oh, 48, oh, 50, like, oh, fuck that honor and integrity. Baby, look at every new era season we've played. Like, look at it. If there was the option to vote for someone who is honorous and integrous, a lot of the time it was taken. A lot of these bitches voted for Mike Gabler, whatever the fuck his name was. They voted for Gabler to win $1 million. Like, it's been around these last couple years. It didn't just pop back up in 48.
Eric, I know you've played live games and online games, and in your live game you weren't on the jury, like you had made it to the end, so we won't talk about that one. But in games that you have played where you have been on a jury, do you put any stock into that? Do you put any stock into who lied to me the most, or do you really try to focus on the social aspect? Did you get to know me? Do I feel like you played a good game? Like, where does that honesty portion of the game, I guess, come into play for you?
I think honesty in games, it's kind of similar to on the show. I mean, it makes sense to lie sometimes, and sometimes lies are just for fun. And it's like, yeah, you can forgive a lie that's for a good strategic reason. Like if you're trying to flush an idol or you're trying to blindside my closest ally, yeah, you have to lie to me about that. Not all lies are super necessary. Some of the some blindsides don't always make sense. Like, I think honesty was more important in the older era because, like in Cook Islands, for example, there's one idol. Everybody knows who has it. So some of these blindsides, sometimes I wonder what even is the motivation here. And I can understand why if you're Cowboy and you get blindsided, what was the fucking point of blindsiding Cowboy? You know for sure he doesn't have an idol. Like, why? And for Flicka to be irritated about it, that's justified. Like, why did they need to blindside her? What could they have done if they had told her the plan ahead of time? Like, but as the game progresses, and now these days everybody has a shot in the dark, so you have to blindside everybody. I mean, you kind of have to forgive a lie here and there if it's justified. So
yeah, because you don't want to get sent home, because a shot in the dark hits or anything like that.
You just have to these days. We didn't always have to back in the day. Some lies were just for shits and giggles, and I could understand being irritated about that. I think honor and integrity held more weight. What am I trying to say? Water, weight, what?
Weight and water.
I don't know. Anyway, it was justified back then more than now. Trying to shoehorn a bunch of honesty into a game where everyone has a shot in the dark and there's a million beware advantages and everyone goes on journeys and loses shit or gains shit. Like, you can't be that. You just can't. So.
Honor and integrity reflects the current political climate. In this essay, I will.
Final four. I think if you're watching this live and you have paid attention to the first 12 seasons of the show, you realize that we're running out of days and we have too many players. So when Jeff says, yeah, this is the final immunity challenge because for the first time ever, blah, 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 and Yul just kind of looks over like, yeah, kind of saw that one coming. So, yes, it's another twist in a season full of twists. But I think, and it's a twist that does last, with the exception of a couple of seasons after this. This is a twist that has lasted all the way to season 50. We still do final threes and like with like Tocantins, Kagayan, and maybe one other one in there. Oh, Micro, duh. This is where we're now in the 3 finalists era. And so now I2 has to turn on each other. Ozzy wins. And they basically agree as a collective, y'all are going to just go to fire. We're going to go to fire. And I know this is the moment that everyone kind of looks at as the funniest moment of the season. It's in the funny 115. I get it. It'll always be Candace for the 4th time Candace Goes to Exile Island. But Jeff is right. You've lived here for 38 days. At least attempt a fire at some point. Erica, are you getting annoyed on the jury watching this as it happens real time?
Oh my God. I feel bad for the jury every time I watch this because I don't know how. For us, it's funny because of the fucking suspenseful strings music, and then it turns to like dopey percussion music or whatever. Like, it is funny for us, but my God, it must have been. And back then, they really cared so much about the survival aspect. Like, Parvati was criticized for not knowing how to gut a fish. So I imagine like some of these people were so frustrated watching these, these 2 people who made the final 4 not be able to make fire. I think the vibe must have been just absolutely fucking horrible on the jury watching that play out. I mean, great for us, but horrible for them.
Julia, are you getting annoyed? If you're on the jury. Or I guess if you're a finalist too, if you're Ozzy or Yul.
Yeah, it's not. I know at this point, obviously, fire is not a guaranteed part of the game, but we've set the precedent at this point that this is what happens if you get to this tie. So to not even go, you know what? I'm in a 4-person alliance where there's an obvious duo that I have. Maybe I should just make fire once, twice, just feel like I'll get a little comfortable with it. My God, I wouldn't be able to contain myself. If I was anyone but the 2 of them, my eyes would be like all the way back here. I'd be like,
I think it was Becky, the one that like wipes sweat from her forehead at one point because they're trying very hard.
Trying. I feel bad for them, but I also don't. You're on the island 24/7. You can't take 15 minutes out of the day and just be like, maybe I should make a fire. Maybe.
I do think it's this is not quite on track, sorry, but I do think it's effing crazy that the idol lasts until final 4 when it's a final 3 that could have given someone a spot directly into the finals. And I do appreciate that they went to fire. I think it's cool for the I2-4. I think Ozzy was correct that it was the fair thing to do to not pick a favorite. And like it, at least based on the edit, it did seem like Yul was kind of tempted to try to give immunity to Becky. But he didn't. And it seemed like Ozzy was the one who pushed it. And I like this moment for Ozzy. This is a moment of integrity, I think, for Ozzy in the early days. That's like an opposite moment to when he throws that challenge to vote out Billy. This brings some balance when he does the fair thing and leaves it up to them to compete for that final spot. I like that.
And this is
it would have been nice if Sandra voted for him, though.
This is a good question because the big difference between 12 and 13 is 12 still has a final 2. So Terry's idol expires at final 4, which means he still has to do a 3-person challenge. Here, yes, Yul plays it at 4, and he's He's all good to 3, and I'm glad that they do make this change. Where I think it's 5, pretty much every season afterwards, 5 or 6. Because yes, like this would be, yeah, you were just guaranteed finale, but maybe even at that point people would still give you credit because like, oh, you had it, then you sat on it until the very end. That's so great. We don't know really what could have happened there, but it is interesting that in a season where they knew that it was going to be a final three, they still allowed the idol to expire at 4 instead of 5. We get to Final Tribal, and Yul and Ozzy both kind of talk about the show being more diverse, not trying to land in stereotypes. And I think that one of the things that the season does do well is it does give us a broad, all 4 starting tribes. It's 5 very different people on every one of those tribes. It's not the same cookie cutter person there. We just going with Railroad Tribe. We've got Pre-Med, Candace, we've got Boxer Parvati, we've got White Woman with Dreads, we've got Hollywood, New York, Penner over here, and then we've got Fuckface Adam. Everyone is it's still a diverse tribe within the realms of their races, I guess. And I do feel, and it's one of those situations, and it was a fun. There used to be a fun stat that I think Gabler broke it, where if the cast is at least 50%, then a minority always wins in the show's history. And Gabler broke that in 43, and it's fine, whatever. But I really appreciate, because Yul has that confessional at the beginning of the game where he says, I kind of was like hesitant when I realized we're going to be on these tribes. Stephanie brings it up during the swap. She says, hey, how do you guys feel about the fact that we were split up like this? Parvati says, is it kosher? Knowing how the season turns out, do you think the ends justified the means?
You know what?
A loaded question.
This might not be woke of me. You know what?
Say it. I don't care.
I'll be not woke for a minute. Yeah, they separated them by race, but like, it's not like the challenges were racially charged. It's not like any of the tribe names were racially charged. We have divided tribes up every other which way. Survivor is the social experiment. This is creating the society. This is doing whatever. And like it or not, for better or for worse, race is very prevalent in a lot of conversations in society. So dividing people up like that, I think, I don't hate it as much as other people. And I know what they were getting at. Again, like I said earlier, big shot factor, but also the mixing once they swapped everyone to be able to have those conversations about, well, how did that make you feel? And I think they wanted some dialogue that I think was too early to get in season 13. But I don't know. I kind of think it was kosher. I don't know. Maybe that's my not woke take of the day.
I have my opinion. I'm going to share in a second. But Erica?
Do I think they should have divided them by race? I mean, was this Mark Burnett? Was this the Mark Burnett era?
I think we're still there. Yeah.
Yeah.
This sounds like him. This sounds like something he would do. It just has his little fingerprints all over it. And I mean, I don't like it, but the truth is, it turned out to be such a good season. There was a comment, someone left a comment just now, Gabe, that they got lucky that it turned out to be such a good season. And that, God, imagine if this season didn't turn out how good it did. It could have gone so bad. They got really lucky with how the cast turned out.
It's
Um,
happened so many other times where like a majority cast or a majority alliance of white people takes out the minorities. So it's like, oh, production got lucky, but it's like it happens so many other times and people are just like, yay, go white people. So I don't
that's fair. That's fair. But having the groups broken, like having the groups separated, does they're lucky that we didn't fall into too many like stereotypes that played out and like
yes.
character that. So we got a little bit lucky in that sense. Also, the players pushed back. I mean, this didn't make the edit, but the players gave their feedback before the season started that they didn't want to do this. And if this was Mark Burnett back in the day, he could have just made it happen anyway and said, fine, you guys all can quit and I'll just call the nearest modeling agency and get 20 new players in here and I'll make this as evil as I want. So it really, like Julia said, it could have been, the challenges weren't racially charged. The tribe names weren't racially charged. It's not.
I think they did a good job with the casting to do a season like this where besides Cowboy, who is like just a different breed, we don't have these people that are looking to like play a stereotype or to like do those things that make this season border on uncomfortable. And I think that also really helps that the cast is what it was.
And I think that's why they lean into having the younger people because this cast is very young. And I think let's just talk about the Rero tribe for a second. If you cast Big Tom, Frank, like if you cast people like that on Rero tribe in this season, then it really becomes, we really cannot have anyone from this tribe win. And I think that's why they do cast, the Jewish man from New York City, they cast the pre-med from the South, but like Candace is very sweet from what we are seeing on screen. The only dickhead is Adam, and that's just because he's probably just a dickhead. But like everyone on every tribe, it's like, okay, we can be, if this person wins, specifically the white tribe, if they win, it's not going to be like the blowback is not going to be, oh man, the white person won a battle of the races. It's going to be, I think by that point, people have kind of gotten that out of their heads because of the characters that we have in the season. So like, yeah, I love joking about the fact that this is race wars. I feel like I lean more towards, I'm fine that they did it because of the cast that they had, but there is another world where we have shitbags mixed in here, there, and everywhere, and it's like, oh god, this is going to look really bad if Frank from Africa wins coming from from Rero tribe. So all of that is to say, I'm fine with it. I'm probably going to give it the
Race Wars gets the coach stamp of approval.
Well,
Clip that.
Even what's crazy is if Fiji ends up going the way that the cast was going, it kind of looks like it was going to be Race Wars 2.0.
Yeah.
Before we had the drop, before the game started.
I don't think they were going to do Race Wars again.
Huh?
I don't think they were going to do Race Wars again.
The white tribe that time has Rocky on it.
Lisi.
And then it becomes, well, Lisi's on the Hispanic tribe.
Oh, okay.
But if Fiji goes the way that it potentially could have gone, and Rocky is now bullying Anthony, with the label of we divided this by race, then it becomes a whole different thing. So I'm kind of glad that Fiji was has versus have-nots. I guess you've never heard anyone ever say that before, but it's true. Quickly, Adam's shirt says "Lost Soul" on it, and I just say, "Fuck off." We
Yeah, that was corny as fuck. I noticed that too.
He's so weird.
He's so weird.
He calls his dad George. He calls his dad by his first name.
They're friends. They're friends.
And because they're close, and not because they're distant, because they're close. That's the weirdest part. It's fine if you call your dad by his first name because y'all are distant, but
we get the Ozzy moment, which is so like it resonates so much more now because of his boot episode in 50, where they have the flashback. For y'all, just obviously you're watching it as a viewer of a television show, an edited television show. How are y'all voting here?
I would first just like to say no grown man should be blonde. And like that's a big strike against Adam. No grown man should be blonde. I don't know. It's something I feel like it's something you should phase out of. I'm definitely voting for Yul. 100%. No question. Game respects game.
I'm also voting for Yul. I mean, as a viewer, I'm voting for Yul. As a juror, who knows? Who knows? I don't know. I can't put myself in these people's shoes. But as a viewer, I'm voting for Yul. This is like one of the only times my favorite player like makes it even to the finale. So yeah, Yul all night, Yul all day, yeah. Yul all day.
I tend to respect the style of Yul's gameplay more than I respect the style of Ozzy's. And knowing it's that close, I'm not risking voting for Becky.
Well, and Rebecca, I think Rebecca votes for Ozzy, and she didn't even play with Ozzy like even once. Like they never crossed paths.
That's just weird. I don't like it when the jury and the merge are off like that. And Brad was on the jury before the merge. That is hinky to me. I don't like it.
But it's like, what was Rebecca gonna do? She didn't know any of these fools.
That's true. That's fair. Yeah, she doesn't know anybody, so that is, yeah, you have to just kind of go with whatever. And I think Brad brings it up when he asks Ozzy his question, like, "Hey, we've known each other for like 15 seconds, so just kind of tell me what you're all about."
But we see Jenny vote for Ozzy. So
yeah, we're gonna get this again in Fiji, but it's Lacey and Rocky, and I mean, I guess everyone votes for Earl. Spoilers. Everyone votes for Earl, so it doesn't matter. But like Lacey and Rocky, that's not true. So we'll talk after we go off the air. Final thoughts before we get to our last two questions. Gabe, don't worry, I'm going to ask your question. Final thoughts on the season, Erica.
Super fun. I love Jeff in a yellow shirt. What?
Just anything in your notes you might have, or just thoughts just in general. Yeah.
Yeah, we get a lot of Jeff in a yellow shirt this season, which I think is very unconventional of him. I think it's a fun choice. I think we could bring back the yellow shirt once in a while. We get some Jeff under an umbrella, under challenges once in a while. I think that's good. Sun safety, sun damage is a killer. The thing I love about this season is I have here in my notes the bullet point playground antics season, because that's the vibe to me. There's just so much petty, immature BS, like the anger over not sharing food, the sending Candace to exile over and over, the showmance. I just love a good childish ass season, and this is a top tier childish season to me. I love it. That's my overall thought.
Julia.
Honestly, I'm echoing that. A lot of people like Survivor because to them it's highbrow reality television, but no, I promise I'm watching for the strategy. I'm watching for the social experiment. And I am too, but sometimes I like to see them be petty. Sometimes I like to see people throw the rice in the fire, or put some shoes in the ocean, or make out and have other people talk about it.
Threaten to not vote for Yul if he doesn't vote out Penner before he. If you don't vote out Penner before you vote out me, I'm not voting for you in the finale.
Sometimes I enjoy that. I can have both. I'm multifaceted and layered. I really like the season. I'm going to give one last shout out to my main man, Penner. I feel like he didn't get enough love. I feel like throughout this episode, one of my favorite Survivor characters of all time. I think we didn't talk about him as like how incredible of a character is, how incredible of a narrator he is.
Yes.
Just incredible. I love him. The only man to ever look attractive in a fedora ever across anything in history.
He looks like a cockfighter. If you know what
I love him. I love him.
He looks like he looks like he's like a badass at cockfighting. Like he knows what roosters to bet on. I think it might be the feather. When he adds the feather, it's like, yeah,
it works. It really works for me. It does
something. Brings it back for him. So I guess that answers the question of who would your ally be on this season, right? No, unless it's not Penner.
I don't know. He's a little too. I would probably gravitate more towards the stoic nature of like the Yule and Becky, as if you can't tell throughout this podcast, I'm a lot of the time. Oh yeah, just a little like.
Oh.
And
what do you say?
And having this relaxed, laid back, down to earth, I think is what I actually gravitate to when I'm looking for who to work with.
Erica?
I mean, Cowboy's a lot of fun. Feel like I would want to work with Cowboy, get on that sinking ship right away. Candace likes to kiss everybody, and who doesn't want an ally that likes to kiss? So I would probably want to align with Candace. She's very touchy-feely with like everybody on this season. It's not just Adam. She's not tied down to him. She offers a kiss to Parvati, who accepts a smooch on the forehead. So I would maybe pick Candace for that. She'd be gone at exile all the time. And she's also on a sinking ship, but I wouldn't know that at the time. But Yule is my favorite winner of the entire series. So I would give a shout out to him as well.
For me, it would be Yule or Becky for basically the same reason Julia says. I like to be able to just like sit and talk to people and just kind of run things off of each other. I don't want me to be the person that has to listen to all of it, and I don't want to be the person that dictates any of it. I want to be able to like have a duo where we can just talk about everything, and I don't have to worry about you turning on me or me turning on you. Like we'll just go to the end, and whoever wins. I'm not trying to make a big move at the last second to be like, oh, I have to put out my number one ally, because we're still at that moment where we don't have to do that. Like we're still in early enough where that's not even a possibility that I would vote out my number one ally right before the game, because that's crazy. And so final question, Erica, something that the modern day fandom would hate about this season.
Well, there's the obvious thing, the race war. What is there something more unique I could say than that? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer to that.
So the race wars thing, like,
yeah,
that's fine.
Very unwoke. Very unwoke.
Very unwoke.
Julia?
I should really think of these at a time now, because I know you're going to ask them. I agree when Erica said this, but I think the vast majority of modern Survivor fans would flame the fuck out of Jeff if he walked out in the yellow banana shirt. I like the change up, but I think Twitter would have a field day.
Okay. Okay. And then for Gabe took it right out of my mouth. Yeah, the modern day fandom would hate the fact that the season has so many twists. Like I said, besides the merge episode and a couple of episodes in the merge, every episode has a twist or multiple twists. And I feel like, as much as I don't hate them by any means, I kind of just hate the fact that that's been labeled as a new era thing when it's not a new era thing. It's been going on forever. So that's kind of where I'm at with That's kind of where I'm at with that. Both of y'all, thank you so much. This is now the third longest recap that we've done over 13 days. Julia will be back tomorrow for Fiji, and Erica will be back next month for Korong. So thank you both so much for taking the time to do this. Thank you everyone in the chat, everyone in my DMs, everyone that's been support. For some reason, Palau is the episode that has the most views so far on this, which yay. But
The
thank
people
you all.
yearn for Stephanie LaGrossa. They yearn for her.
But you know, I'll take it. But everyone, thank you so much for the support, and we will see you tomorrow night for Survivor Fiji.